Welcome back to the Our View podcast. On today's episode, I welcome my guests, Gui and Rachel Soares. Join our conversation as we discuss the misconceptions about nutrition and maintaining a healthy immune system. So I would like to welcome Gui and Rachel Soares to the Our View podcast. Our conversation today will be geared around nutrition and just ways to keep our immunity system healthy, and gut health, and also inflammation, which are three issues that I personally deal with pretty much on a day-to-day basis. So welcome to the podcast. And I appreciate you taking the time to join me today for this conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're so excited to talk and chat with you.
We love doing this, man.
Yeah,
we really
do.
do.
So fun.
Yeah. So if you could just introduce yourselves and tell us who you are, what do you do, and just any fun facts you want to share with the audience today.
Yeah, we own Rewind Nutrition, which is an online health company, and it's pretty much it's backed by science. It's proven with experience. We use ancestral nutrition to manage chronic illnesses, including, but not limited to like diabetes, Hashimoto's, Crohn's, heart disease, anxiety, migraines, acid reflux, fatty liver disease, epilepsy, like the list goes
neurological
on.
Problems, yeah.
We reverse symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, bloating, using food, It
Wow.
sounds, woo woo and, all that, but food is medicine. Food
Absolutely.
does heal. It's been our experience. It's been the experience for our clients.
Even though Big Pharma doesn't want to let you think that, but it is.
Yeah. So
Right.
our mission is to clear the confusion around health and nutrition. And, that allows our communities, to be awesome at life, at work, at home, by removing these symptoms and allowing them to, as we were talking earlier, to just live.
And feel like humans should always be feeling, not
Yes.
How we feel nowadays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
No, go ahead.
So I became a certified nutritionist after I learned how to heal myself. I had daily fatigue, I had brain fog, and then I helped her into her healing journey as well. I learned about the miseducation with my studies. I learned about the miseducation that a majority of the population has received. Our communities are really suffering from it. Chronic illnesses and symptoms and all that. So we're here to clear the confusion, really.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think this is a great conversation to have, because for myself, it's I've shared on an episode before, and I've also shared with you all before we started recording, that it's hard for me as a person with a disability to eat nutritionally well sometimes. I love vegetables. I don't, and I've never liked any fruits, which is very strange. Um, it's
Not
a
alone.
texture thing.
We're gonna relieve your mind on that one, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's a texture thing for me. I have a
Yeah.
thing
Same
with
here.
textures. So, but I've always loved vegetables. But with that, it's the natural fiber and everything that comes with it. It's just, it doesn't work with my digestive system sometimes. And
Yeah.
I love water, and I try not to buy too many sodas and everything like that, and drink too many sugary juices. But again, it's like it impacts the digestive system, and it's not always a good thing for me to drink too much water or eat too many vegetables.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm grateful to you both to have this conversation today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so being that for just about a year now, we've been in the midst of the pandemic. I know here in New Jersey, we've been told to stay at home as much as possible, besides going out for necessities and things like that. I know where you all are in California, I know some places they've been saying the same thing. Pretty much all over the country, most places in the world. Yeah, what kind of advice or some ways that you can offer people to maintain their immunity health during this time of while we're staying at home and not being around other people, but trying to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic?
This is, it's a really good thing to bring up and talk about because, in all honesty, like nobody's really talking about this as far as like our government. They're not really, there for us in telling us like how we can really protect ourselves, right? They say stay home and, cover up when you go out, social distance, and that's about it, right? They don't say anything about where our health should be. We all know that those who are metabolically unhealthy are impacted way more than those that are healthy, right? Yeah. And they don't ever discuss how can we get to be metabolically healthy, and they, everywhere that we look, like people are turning to baking and people are, like sitting at home on the couch, like not moving, watching Netflix all the time, and, while that's fine and everything, there's some critical things that are happening because as a result of those, things.
And not only about COVID, but any other, pathogen out there will do better in an unhealthy host, in a fragile host. Nobody's talking about the healthy of the host, ourselves. So the more we work on our health, the more resilient we're going to be to any virus, not only Corona, but flu, anything, we always brag. We say this in always all the podcasts, but we have to. We haven't gotten sick in 3 years. Like I haven't gotten a cold, I haven't gotten a sore throat, I haven't felt any under the weather, anything. Yeah. Only because we do what we do. We fuel our bodies the way they should be fueled, and we get more resilient to anything trying to invade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going on to things that you guys can do, at home to start building your immune system is the first and biggest thing that anybody can do is remove toxins from their diet.
That's the very first thing.
It's a lot harder than it sounds. I could just, remove the toxins from your diet, but in reality, when we go grocery shopping, they're everywhere. So the biggest ones to take out would be seed and vegetable oils,
which should be the the easiest thing to do nowadays. Is remove those oils. It doesn't change taste profile of your food. It just really literally choices, and knowing the good choices in the market, because we see that marketing with those nice bottles, beautiful bottles, glass with all the formats, and really attract your eye to it, but inside it's downright poison. All the seed oils that we're talking about are cottonseed oil, peanut oil, soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rice bran. Did I forget any?
Corn
oil. All those oils that has all those grains and seeds that have no business extracting oil from it. Only like high machinery and high processes can actually take like some sludge out of those oils, but they're dirt cheap. That's why they are so promoted out there, because they're really cheap, and the profit margin is really good on it. But there should never being able to introduce themselves into our food system, because they're not for human consumption whatsoever.
And when just to touch on the marketing and side of it, the canola oil specifically, There's lots of labels on them, and you'll see heart healthy, and it's not. It's the downright lie and marketing scheme. It's awful.
What's a canola? Can you answer that?
No, I can't.
Nobody knows what canola is, man. It's just, even the name is just marketing. There's no canola seeds out there for you to like take oils from, it's all marketing. So you got to really understand what, things that can affect your health the way that these things do.
Yeah. Should we tell them like why? I will tell you just quickly some good oils to exchange for those.
Right.
Yes.
That would be avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil,
And
animal fats.
Animal fats are actually the best.
Are so great to work to cook with, and they taste good.
And they've been, vilified all this time. Because animal products are being vilified all this time. Yeah. So we've been thinking that butter and ghee and tallow and suet are all bad for our health and are gonna instantly stop our hearts, when we have them. And it's so far from the truth. Those are actually the things that we've been having for most of our evolution. And that's what we focus on here in Rewind, is that we want to rewind your health to a time that there was none of this, none of diabetes, none chronic illnesses. And guess what? Then we had a lot of animal fats. Animal fat, the more time we had, something in our evolution, in our ingesting something, the more time we had to adapt to it. And animal fats are there.
Yeah. We only talked about seed and vegetable oils.
Yeah.
There's way more than that. There's processed carbs, and there's also grains. Those are all huge toxins that we need to remove from our diet.
Yeah, the processed carbs will be the most difficult one, I think, and grains too, because processed carb is everything on the supermarket. When you go to the supermarket, all those middle aisles are all processed carbs, most of it, right? So when you go to the supermarket, a big tip we have, just forget about middle aisles. Go to the corners, the vegetables in one side, and normally the back or the other side it's meat and animal products. That's where you should stay. The middle aisles are normally not great. Yeah, crackers and chips and bread. Yeah. So stay away from those. So that's one of the things that is going to be the most difficult, I think, for people to
remove,
think about and remove from their diets. Processed carbs. Because processed carbs will have the vegetable oils, and you'll have the perfect ratio of sugar and carbs and salt, that like to impact that reptile brain that we have underneath in the center of our brain, to like dopamine release and serotonin release, everything, and it keeps you coming back for more. It has no hormonal signal to tell you when to stop. That's why people keep eating it. That's why you can eat like bags and bags of chips, because there's no hormonal signal tell you that you're full. So that's why processed carbs should be one thing that to take it out. And the third thing is grains. I mean, we've been thinking that whole healthy grains are the way to go, and that's the government's been telling us to do. But those are also, the minute we made grains a staple in our diet, everything went downhill with our health. Our dental health, our metabolic health, our stature, our everything, our bones, and that's like hard data. I mean, anthropologists and people that dig to see to see fossils, they know that they can, just by looking at some fossil, they will know if that human is from after agricultural revolution or before agricultural revolution. They will know just by looking at it, because the bones are so brittle, and if it's after agriculture, and they will know just by looking at it. It's so obvious. So that one thing that we should never been able to like think that it's heart healthy and whole healthy grains. Grains are also, it's bird food. Literally bird food. and we don't have the mechanisms in our body to deal with that. And nowadays it's touted to be the savior of our food system. So none of that. So going on to paradise sleep now.
Yeah. Well, that's your topic.
Okay. So the second thing you can do, the first thing was all that. The second thing,
remove toxins, seed oils, processed carbs, grains.
Yeah. So the second thing is we have to prioritize our sleep. Nowadays we're like put in this pedestal people that don't sleep and they can just go and work and work and work and work 4 hours and then work again and again and again. And that's so far from what health should be.
Mhm.
If you don't prioritize your sleep, anything you do, like you can fix your diet, you can exercise, you can, play, anything, you can sunbathe. And if you don't sleep well, if you don't sleep the amount you need to sleep, like 7 to 8 hours ideally, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna work in your body.
Your progress will be delayed.
Absolutely. So, I mean, people that kill themselves in the gym and then don't sleep at night, it's all a waste, because everything good that happens when you do those things, when you exercise, when you remove toxins, happens when you're asleep.
Yeah,
Your body really acts on that thing and heal your body and can actually heal your muscles and all that when you're asleep. So we really have to prioritize the sleep, and we're gonna touch on one thing about sleeping pills. Like what the magic happens is called the REM sleep. REM is like rapid eye movement. That's where the like rejuvenation and all the fixes that your body needs to do happens. But if you take a sleeping pill, it just knocks you out like completely, right? It's like fainting. So it takes you down all the way to deep sleep, and it doesn't let you get back to because the deep sleep is like the one that you go all the way down, and your heart rate really slows down everything. But the actual rejuvenation and fixes happen in a stage above the REM sleep, and sleeping pills will never let you get there.
Wow. Yeah, that's so important, because like you said, everything that all the workouts that you do and things like that, like they require rest to
Yes.
really take full effect. So that's really important.
Another thing that is really important for immune health, which is a bit counterintuitive right now with the stay-at-home orders, is that vitamin D is so important for our health.
And real vitamin D.
Yeah, directly from the sun, right? Obviously right now it's winter, and
for us here where we are in New Jersey, where you are, we would definitely recommend people to supplement vitamin D, because the sun is just not, we're too far from the equator for vitamin D for the sun to be able to produce vitamin D in your body. So your skin has cholesterol on it, right? And when the sun hits it in a specific time of the day during in close to the equator in a specific time of the days, that rays that penetrate our atmosphere makes us produce vitamin D in our skin. When we're too far, when we're above Atlanta, let's talk about the U.S. Anything above Atlanta in the winter months, that ultraviolet rays, ultraviolet B rays cannot penetrate our atmosphere. So in reality, in winter months above Atlanta, we cannot produce vitamin D from the sun. So definitely try to supplement vitamin D if you live above Atlanta. But if you don't, if you live Southern California or anything under Atlanta, you will be able to produce vitamin D from the sun year long. So, and that's the real vitamin D. That's what we should be focusing on, because the sun, actually, sunbathing, it's not even just vitamin D. There's so many more things that your body, in our evolution, we lived and we died under the sun. It has a really strong signature in our DNA. And our DNA actually expects sunbathing. Nowadays we think that the sun is destructive and it causes cancer, it causes skin cancer and all that. What we're telling here, it's not to burn. What causes skin cancer is when you burn under the sun, when you stay too long, too much for your skin, and your skin will let you know. And what happens too, we put too much sunscreen, in our skin, and it protects us, but not really. So if you stay under the sun with nothing, with no, big parts of your body, with no sunscreen, you'll be able to produce enough vitamin D in like 10, 15 minutes under the sun. That's all we need. So go take a walk with your dog outside. Go lie on the grass outside for 10 to 20 minutes, depending on your skin color. People that have a darker skin color naturally is going to need more time, because that's nature's sunscreen if you're darker. But find out what your body will let you know when you're burning. So when you start burning, then you go into the shade, and that's it. But it's very, very important for us to be under the sun, not only for vitamin D, but for melatonin. You sleep better at night if you do melatonin. You be under the sun, you will be able to sleep better at night because you produce more melatonin.
And just to realize how short of a time you can, spend in the sun to get that benefit from it is really, really cool to know. I just learned something today. So.
And unfortunately, like the sun, like he was saying, has been villainized really, and just a couple minutes, under it without sunscreen will give you a lot of health benefits and a lot of immunity boost.
With big surfaces of your body, though. So no shirt. Try to be as much everything exposed as much as possible. If you can go naked, go naked.
We don't have that luxury here.
Like you said, it's winter here. So naturally, I think people spend more time in the house anyway. Mm-hmm. Especially here in New Jersey, it can get really cold. It can snow. Sure. So it's, it's just always good to figure out how to maintain a healthy immune system through any winter, because you have the common cold and flu that exists as well during this time. The next topic is something that I deal with quite often, which is inflammation. So I wear braces on my legs. I use crutches to walk. I use a wheelchair at times, and just everything is inflamed all the time, it seems. My knees, my shoulders, it's just, I've been living for 39 years now. So it's just something I deal with, and I have ways of, alleviating that. One of the things is I do a sensory deprivation float. Nice. Once a month. And it's a pool of Epsom salt, and that helps out so much. I get relief from it, from discomfort. I have like almost 2 weeks of relief just doing that with the Epsom salt. And it's really, it's been so beneficial to me. I think I've been doing it now for 3 years. I try to go once a month. Of course, awesome. 2020, I only went, I think, 3 times because they were closed for a few months. But what are some good sources of to assist with lowering inflammation?
Mm-hmm. So what we talked about earlier, right? Yes. Removing those toxins, seed and vegetable oils, processed carbs and grains. Those will, just removing those alone will drastically reduce people's inflammation. Okay. Those are some of the toxins. We didn't even touch on other toxins, which are plant toxins. And, while plant toxins, animals can run away, they can fight, if they don't want to be eaten.
Everything has a defense system.
Yeah, everything has a defense system, right? What are plants' defense systems so that they're just not decimated and eaten by everything? They have toxins, right?
Mm-hmm. The chemical warfare. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. That's their only system of defense. It's produce toxins to discourage other predators to just extinguish them.
Yeah, not eat them, to decimate them.
And they cause inflammation. They cause toxicity in the body, and animals in the wild, they have in their instinct to know that they're not supposed to eat the whole plantation, the whole civilization of plants. They will eat a little bit of plants here, a little bit of plants there, and they'll try to diverse their eating habits, because they know if they eat too much of one thing, the one thing is going to have one toxin that it's going to be problematic for them and cause inflammation and all that.
This is obviously generally about plants and animals.
Yeah.
There's our specific.
Yeah. And inflammation nowadays in our society is like that. Inflammation and insulin resistance is the base of all the problems. Mm-hmm. You know, the base of all the chronic problems that we face today, all the diabetes, all that is all lies on insulin resistance and inflammation. So removing those things and removing plant toxins, try to, if you are going to eat plants, which you can, we do, you should not eat the same thing all the time. Mm-hmm. Try to space out when you eat like different kind of vegetables. Try to have a big variety and try to stay away from doing it too much of one thing in a row.
Yeah. So, the plant toxins that, if you guys want to, look it up or Google them, would be oxalates, lectins, and phytates are three of the big ones.
Yeah, they're the big ones. There are more.
Yeah.
There are acrylamides and all that stuff. But if you focus on those three, I think everything else is going to come with it and lower your intake of it with it.
Yeah.
So, and also another thing that you can to lower inflammation is being ketosis. The metabolic state of ketosis is highly anti-inflammatory. So if you are able to, get away from carbs a little bit, increase your fats, and be in the state of ketosis, that metabolic state is highly anti-inflammatory. Ketones is very good for your brain, it's very good for your heart, and it's very good for your whole body. And it really attacks inflammation, really prevents inflammation.
Do you want to give some examples of those that are high in oxalate lectins?
Sure. So the one thing that it wasn't difficult to take away because I never liked it. Spinach is really high in oxalates. It's one of the highest there is in oxalates. So if you are going to eat spinach, try to really space out the times that you do. Lectins, you're going to find a lot of lectins in nightshades. So tomatoes,
eggplant,
potatoes, and peppers, all kinds of peppers. Even what are those seeds that you like? Those seeds that you like to put on your smoothies and all. Anyway,
chia seeds?
Chia seeds are high in lectins too. They're also nightshades. And phytates are going to be legumes and grains. Everything that we said for you to take out already are going to have most of those toxins. Grains are going to have all of those toxins. It's like we made like charts of things that have the most toxins. Grains are in every chart. They fall into all of them. They fall into the high oxalate, they fall into the high lectins, they fall into the high phytates, and all of them, and all the other ones that we don't talk about. So grains is going to be a big thing for you to take out to remove some of those toxins from your diet. And leafy greens, we said about spinach, but mostly a lot of leafy greens are going to have a high oxalate content in them.
Yeah. We actually, and we can talk about this again, but we actually just created a shopping list, a grocery shopping list that we, give to all of our clients. And on that list is all the items that we approve for healing, so AKA removing inflammation. And on that list, we have listed the net carbs, fiber content, and then also the toxicity level based on, how much phytates, oxalates, or lectins that they have in it. So we'll send you a copy of it, but if any of your listeners want it, you can go to the website. It's bit.ly/rewind shopping list.
Why don't you just go rewind?
It's there, and you guys can download it there. Or if you have trouble, just email us at hello@rewindnutrition.
Yeah, that's great. I know. The conversation has mentioned grains for most of the answers here. Do you have any suggestions of I guess, replacements of what people could eat instead of grains that you could just mention? I know that wasn't an original question, but I think that would be a good thing to add in here.
I think like bread is a really big one that people
That
love.
was the hardest for me.
You
That was
know.
downright the hardest for me.
And of course, like there's going to be and when it comes to healthy eating, we have to put effort, right? Like this is a big thing that people have to kind of put in their head. You know, there's no real quick fix to go to the grocery store and get like no grain bread, unfortunately. So what we do is there's a couple recipes out there that you guys can go look up. And one is called a chaffle, and it's essentially cheese and egg, and you like melt them all together, and it comes in this great bread-like consistency, and it's awesome.
And you can use a waffle maker for it. That's why it's called a chaffle, it's a cheese waffle.
Yeah. And it's so good. Like we used to do that a lot. We don't do it that much anymore.
When we used to miss bread a lot, we used to do that a lot.
Yeah,
now we evolved a little bit. We got away from that. But there's also, you can do there's little flours you can use to make bread, like almond flour, coconut flour, and those can be used to make a grain-free bread.
Yeah.
Also,
like for example, a really popular one is called fathead dough, and we use that to make pizza or bagels, you know,
tortillas,
all sorts of things. And it's a great it's another like cheese based, right? And it just holds everything together. It's a great substitute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
What else? Oh, pasta is another one that, you know, people really, really love, right? There's a brand called Palmini that's Hearts of Palms pasta, and it's pretty good.
For pasta like Italian kind of pasta. For noodles, like Asian noodles, if you're missing that, you can use Miracle noodles or shirataki.
Yeah, shirataki
noodles. And those are like mainly water, and they're made from a yam found in Southern Asia. And it's like 90% water. So whatever sauces or whatever flavor you put into it, it's gonna absorb that flavor. So it can be a good substitute too.
And of course, there's my favorite spaghetti squash, which is a squash. Yes. Have you had it?
I have, yes.
It's so good. I love it. He doesn't like it, but I like it.
You can do zucchini.
Also, zucchini noodles.
Yes, I've had that too. Yeah.
So those are all great alternatives to noodles.
But remember, none of those things are gonna be the same as. You gotta remember that we're not trying to like substitute the taste. We're trying to substitute an item. Okay, it's gonna have a different taste profile. Just go into it knowing about that. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad expectation. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna have a too high of expectation, thinking you just can do that and pretend it's pasta, but it's not gonna be quite that. Okay, but the palmini comes really close.
Yeah, I think
the palmini comes really close. The Miracle noodles come really close for Asian noodles. But obviously the zucchini and the squash are gonna be a little different. It's just really an item substitution, not a taste substitution.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that, because it's you know, I think that's I think a lot of times we hear of what we should cut out of our diet, but you know, I know there are a lot of things that can, like you said, not substitute the taste, but the look and the
feel.
The feel of it, and just, you know, just having I have a spiralizer, so I do I spiralize zucchinis and carrots and everything, and and sweet potatoes and things like that too. So
it's a mind shift that we have to practice, right? You know, like I said at the beginning, food is medicine, and you know, zoodles do not taste as good as pasta. I'm sorry, they don't, right? They don't. But we have to change our mindset that food is not there just to please us and to pleasure us, right?
Food is much more than just entertaining.
Yes.
Right?
And
food is medicine, like you said.
Exactly. And you know, as you're making your zoodles, you're like, oh gosh, I wish it was pasta, but I know that this is going to make my gut and my body feel so much better than that pasta ever will. And that's the mindset shift that we have to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. This is
Mhm.
a great conversation. I'm enjoying this a lot.
Oh, great.
Um, um, so and with saying that, unfortunately, we have reached the last question here.
Mhm.
So I can you just explain or what are some things that people most commonly misunderstand about nutrition in general?
This
That's,
is a great
that's a
question.
great question, and
And
it
it's
could
a
be such a
lot.
big list.
Yes.
But we'll stay with the most common.
Wait, I wanna start with, because you mentioned at the beginning about not liking fruit and why that's okay. You know,
Yes.
there's um one of the things that we wrote down is, carbs are not essential. They're Carbs are not essential
There's not one carb out there that you need
to
for a
live.
healthy life. There's like, we can tell you essential fats that without it we would not be here. We can tell you essential proteins, but there are no essential carbs.
Hmm. Yeah. And fruit falls in that line. Fruit turn are high in carbs. They're very high in carbs, and they're high in
Most of them.
sugar. And unfortunately, there's nothing unique about fruit that we need in our bodies,
That we can't get from
other
other sources.
sources, right?
Well, look
So
at
I
me.
think,
I was ahead of
yeah,
I was ahead of my time not liking fruit.
exactly. You are actually doing good things for your body. Like,
Mhm.
there was one, my dad, he had to go to the doctor, and like his wife was started feeding him like all this fruit. He was like you, he never liked fruit, but his wife was like, you have to eat more fruit, you have to eat more fruit. She started giving him all this fruit, and then he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, why is your blood sugar so high? You like, you're gonna need to be put on diabetes medicine. What did you do? What did you change? And he's like, oh, I've been eating more fruit. And the doctor's like, stop it. Stop
Wow.
it. He's like, my wife's trying to kill me. So it, like, fruit is nature's candy, and this is a big misconception, right? That we need fruit. It has all these
Mhm.
antioxidants and these vitamins in it.
Polyphenols and stuff, but
Not necessary.
it's not necessary. And we evolve with nature so well and so aligned with nature that we fruit only really comes one time a year. Now, nowadays we have access to fruit all year long, but
Mhm.
because we can get it from Australia, from South America, from Asia, whatever, right? Because
Right.
we have big transportation now. That was never the case. We had to focus what we had around us, and what we had around us, fruits, only came one time a year, at the end of the summer, and it's so well placed in that timeline because it comes right before a scarcity time, a scarcity period, right?
Yeah.
It comes right before winter that will come with less opportunity for you to hunt and gather and all that stuff, right? So fruits come to literally, literally make you fatter, because carrying fat in our body is a really important evolutionary trait, and that actually made our species survive during winter. Because the more fat
Wow.
you have in your body, the more fuel you have to sustain yourself without eating. So fruit came at the end of the month, at the end of the summer, literally to make us a little bit fatter, so we have more fuel in our bodies to survive winter. It's really, that's the whole purpose of fruits. We went all year eating protein and fat,
Mhm.
right? And then summer ended, and we had the low hanging fruits, and we're predisposed to like it. We are predisposed to like to have the sweet tooth, because
Mhm.
it was really important for us to eat those fruits so we can actually survive winter. So it's a really important evolutionary trait that we have that sweet tooth. But nowadays, it's biting us in the ass, because we have unlimited access
Mhm.
to fruit and sweet things, and now processed sugar and all that.
This was a hard thing for me to grasp when I was changing my diet, because I was this like apple a day girl with, and I love fruit, and this was a really hard one for me to grasp. So
One thing we tell everybody that comes through our program is to try to eat as much as possible fresh, uh, again,
local.
fresh, local, and seasonal.
Mhm.
If you focus on eating local, you are gonna be eating seasonally, because
Yeah.
things around you only comes seasonal,
Mhm.
and as fresh as possible. Obviously, that's so make a habit, change your habits, and try to go to farmers market more often. I know it's hard now with shelter in place, but that's what we should be doing. Try to help our local markets, our local farms,
Mhm.
and make them thrive so they can actually provide those things seasonally to the things that we actually need for our health.
Mhm. We have so many more to go through. We're going to try and go through them quickly. So that's one. Carbs are not essential. That includes vegetables and fruits.
And definitely
Um,
grains.
and definitely grains. Grains, yeah, that we can all wrap that into one. All those things that we've been told we need to live a healthy diet, like a healthy lifestyle, is just so wrong. And it's really sad because people are following that advice and they're not understanding why they're
We're getting enough.
feeling, sick, they're lethargic, their skin is dull, their hair is fat, all this stuff. They don't understand why they're taking naps in the middle of the day,
the
you know.
paradigm the paradigm nowadays is that the reason that we're all as a nation we're really obese and overweight is because we're lazy. We don't eat right. We're not following the things that it's put out by our government well, and we don't move enough. So we eat wrong, and we move little, and that's not the case. If you look at statistics out there, we actually been following all the suggestions, all the recommendations really well. I mean, meat consumption is really down. At least red meat consumption is really down. Chicken consumption is really up.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetable consumption is really skyrocketed since we started having this recommendations from our government, and we just been getting sicker.
Yep.
Like from the 1960s on, we just gotten sicker and sicker. And then especially with the processed carbs and the easy access to those oils that we mentioned, it just skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
And we just think in the government that says for us to follow all that says that we're not been following, and we haven't moved enough. So eat less and move more. It's not what we should, what the reason why we're at this place right now. So what we're trying to tell to your public and to ours, it's not your fault. It was never our fault. It's not because we're lazy and we don't move enough, we don't exercise enough, and we eat too much. It's not that. We actually been following the recommendations really well, but the recommendations are wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's very sad. We can see it. One thing we keep hearing time and time again is, COVID and coronavirus has really amplified everything that is going wrong with our food system, with our health, with our mental health, all this stuff. It's just amplified everything on a personal level, on a public level, on a society level. And, this is what it's really shown us as people, in the health industry.
We talked about the grains. Whole healthy grain, it's like an oxymoron, right? I mean, if they're not healthy, and most of them are not whole, so just stay away from that. Whole healthy grains are an oxymoron, and you shouldn't follow that recommendation. Another thing that people think, that misconception about nutrition, is that fat is unhealthy. Fat has been in our food paradigm for all of our evolution. And the fact that we think nowadays that fat causes high cholesterol, the fat causes heart disease, if you eat too much fat, your heart's gonna explode, and you're gonna instantly combust immediately. It's just not the case. Fat is actually really important for our evolution. We have this high carb paradigm nowadays that since we introduced the high carb paradigm, you just got sicker. And then the fact that we had the no carbs are essential for health. There are fats that are essential for health, and nowadays we're just not getting enough. So we focus on this one micronutrient in favor of the other one, and it should be the opposite, really. Our pyramid, remember the pyramid that was put out by our government? If we flipped it upside down, it would be a better pyramid than the actual pyramid was. So, and another thing that we think that people have a misconception about is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a big one, and cholesterol has been vilified since the low-fat era of the 1960s. And cholesterol is so important for our health. People with low cholesterol, like, I think we got to think about the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is to live healthy and live long and healthy, right? And not die. I mean, the ultimate goal is not to die. And people with low cholesterol die more often, way more often. So we just look at that statistic. People with high cholesterol live longer and better. Why are we thinking that cholesterol is bad for us? Why do we think cholesterol, is going to make our heart explode instantly? It's not the case. It's that's all that information is based on flawed science. The science that it was a hypothesis, in the 1960s, but it was not proven by clinical trials. Because clinical trials are really expensive, nobody wants to do them, and people just put observational studies out there, and they come up with hypotheses, but we have to prove them, in a clinical setting, and that's never done. That wasn't done, back in the 1960s and 70s when those things, the low-fat era came out, and vilified saturated fat, and they vilified cholesterol, thinking that cholesterol is going to make us unhealthy. And it's not the case. Cholesterol is present in so many functions in our body, and it's like present in every cell of your body. It's like extremely important. And if nowadays we think cholesterol in a bad light, and that we gotta shift that mental thing. We have to shift our thinking to talk about cholesterol in a positive light, because cholesterol is positive. The only bad thing about cholesterol is bad cholesterol. And what makes bad cholesterol, guess what it is? It's sugar and processed carbs and grains.
Yes.
so cholesterol is just we try to penetrate everybody's mind with that notion. Cholesterol should always be taught in a positive light, because cholesterol, most of it is positive, unless you damage your cholesterol with a high sugar intake, with a high grain intake, with a high processed carbs.
This is his favorite topic. He loves talking about cholesterol.
Cholesterol has been, it's the one thing that has been vilified, so unjustly vilified for too long. And we have to change that mindset.
He could talk an entire podcast about cholesterol. Like, he loves talking about it so much, but it is important, and it is definitely a big one that is misunderstood in nutrition. And it's hard for us to, say this and come outright and say such a big statement. We're going against doctors, against, the government.
Not all doctors. There are doctors out there that have been, looking at new studies and new science, and not just falling back on the flawed science that was put out back then in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. But it's, we're going against the norm here by saying this. And, we wouldn't make such big, bold claims without, there is science out there. There's data out there that shows this.
And a caveat, dietary cholesterol, when you ingest cholesterol, it has little to no impact in your own cholesterol. 90% of our cholesterol flowing into our body is our own cholesterol. It's endogenous. It's like our liver that makes it. So actual dietary cholesterol, the ones that you actually eat, has little to no impact in the serum cholesterol in your body.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. It's so great information. Like, I can't wait to do my own research and look all this stuff up. Like, this is so
please do. Yeah.
Such an enlightening. Yeah, it's such an enlightening conversation for me, and I'm learning so much. So thank you again.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So just before we wrap up, can you let the audience know where they can find you online, your website, your social media sites, and wherever else they can contact you?
Definitely. Our website is rewindyournutrition.com. you can find us on, and we're pretty active on Instagram at Rewind Nutrition. If you want that shopping list, again, the address to find that is bit.ly/rewind shopping list.
You can find that in our bio on Instagram too. You can just click the link in our bio; it will take you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
and
cool.
it's an awesome tool, to get started on healthy eating, on healing and whatnot. It's something that we give to all of our clients, and if there's an item on that list that you don't see, it's likely not something we recommend to our clients to eat.
Also,
It's pretty extensive.
also that list is like a general list, right? So there are items out there that might not be a problem for you.
Yeah.
And that's when we come into the picture and we actually understand what you're going through, what's your, what your, how is your health and everything. And maybe there are some items that is not on that list that is going to be okay for you.
Right.
So, but that's,
and vice versa.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's foods on that list that are probably, good for some people, not good for others. But in a general sense, all those items on there promote healing. And if you are somebody that is like, maybe has a lot of healing to do, I would probably stay away from the items that have a high toxicity level.
That's why we put that category there.
Yeah.
For you to stay away from it. If you have a lot of healing to do, maybe cross out the high toxicity, even the moderate, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, and you guys, if you have any questions, like I said, we're active on Instagram, or you can email us through our website. And thank you for this great opportunity to speak to you and your audience. It's been fun.
Yes, it's been a great conversation. I've learned a lot. Hopefully our listeners have learned a lot. And again, thank you both so much for your time. And I appreciate you both. And I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Our View podcast. Leave us a review wherever you listen and let us know what you liked about this episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms for more disability-related content at Our View for Life. That's OURVIEW, 4 LIFE. If you listen to this episode on your phone, take a screenshot and post it to your Instagram or Facebook stories and be sure to tag us. We thank you for listening and take care.